The message behind: stop replaying your past. Build presence now is about freeing yourself from the mental loop that keeps you trapped in yesterday's experiences and learning how to live with awareness, clarity, and balance in the present moment. Many people live their lives as if they are stuck in a movie that has already ended. They replay scenes of mistakes, regrets, heartbreaks, and disappointments, trying to rewrite what cannot be changed. This mental repetition drains their energy, shapes their emotions, and prevents them from fully engaging with life as it is happening right now. The past becomes a psychological prison when it dominates your thoughts, keeping you tied to moments that no longer exist. To move forward, one must stop identifying with those memories and begin to cultivate presence, a state where your attention, energy, and awareness are grounded in the now. Living in the past is often an unconscious habit. The human mind naturally clings to pain because it seeks meaning and closure. You may replay an argument to justify yourself or revisit a failure to find out what went wrong. But this constant inner dialogue builds emotional patterns that repeat in the present. When you live through memory, you unconsciously project those old emotions into new situations. A person betrayed once may distrust everyone, not because the present demands it, but because the mind is still reacting to the past. This prevents authentic relationships, creativity, and peace. Building presence means recognizing that your life exists only in this very moment and everything else is a mental projection. Presence is not about forgetting your past, it is about not letting it define who you are now. The experiences you had, whether joyful or painful, shaped your understanding but should not imprison your identity. Every time you focus your attention fully on what is happening now, on your breath, your movement, the sounds around you, you begin to dissolve the emotional charge that past memories hold. It is not an act of denial but of awakening. You are choosing to observe rather than relive. This awareness creates space between you and your thoughts, breaking the automatic reaction that keeps old wounds alive. In that space, healing naturally occurs, and you begin to see that the mind's attachment to the past is a choice, not a necessity. Building presence requires practice. It is not something achieved in a single moment of realization. It is developed through consistent attention to what is real right now. Mindfulness, meditation, conscious breathing, and simple observation of daily actions are powerful tools for training presence. When you walk, notice each step. When you speak, be aware of your tone. When you listen, do it without judgment. These small acts accumulate and gradually shift your mental state from one of reaction to one of awareness. Presence brings stillness without effort, clarity without force, and peace without suppression. The mind becomes lighter because it no longer carries the burden of replaying every scene that went wrong. The transformation that occurs when you stop replaying your past is profound. You begin to respond to life instead of reacting. You see people and situations as they are, not as your memories paint them. Relationships improve because you interact without hidden resentment or fear. Creativity flows because your mind is no longer trapped in repetitive thinking. Even your physical body feels lighter as stress and tension are closely tied to mental attachment. You discover that happiness is not some letting go of mental replays, means freeing yourself from the habit of constantly revisiting past moments, mistakes, or regrets that keep circulating in your mind. Many people unconsciously replay old conversations, failures, or painful memories as if doing so might somehow change what happened. But the truth is, every time you mentally return to those moments, you re-experience the same emotions that originally came with them. Your body cannot distinguish between a real event and the memory of it. When you replay a past disappointment, your heart rate rises, your muscles tense, and your mood drops just as if it were happening all over again. This creates a loop that keeps you trapped in your own story, unable to move forward. Letting go of these replays is not about ignoring the past, it is about releasing your emotional attachment to it so that it no longer dictates your present. The mind often replays the past in an effort to find closure or control. You may think that by analyzing the situation again and again, you can make sense of it or avoid repeating it. But this pattern only strengthens your emotional bond to pain. The mind thrives on repetition because it gives an illusion of control, yet true control comes from acceptance. When you accept that what has happened cannot be undone, you begin to break the cycle. The replay stops having power over you because you are no longer resisting reality. This acceptance does not mean that what happened was fair or right. It simply means that you choose not to let it define your inner state anymore. Releasing mental replays also involves becoming aware of how often they arise. Many of these thoughts occur automatically. You may be doing something routine, driving, walking, or sitting quietly, and suddenly find yourself thinking about something from years ago. The moment you notice this, pause and take a conscious breath. Awareness interrupts the cycle. Instead of getting lost in the replay, you witness it. You see that it is only a memory, not an ongoing event. With practice, this awareness becomes stronger and the mind begins to settle. You stop identifying with the story and start identifying with the observer behind it. Another important aspect of letting go is forgiveness. This includes forgiving others and forgiving yourself. Holding grudges or guilt feeds the replay cycle because the mind uses these emotions as fuel. Forgiveness is not about excusing anyone's actions. It is about releasing your emotional dependency on them. When you forgive, you reclaim your inner peace. You take back the energy that was tied to resentment or regret. This shift in perception allows you to look at the past with neutrality rather than pain. You can remember what happened without reliving it. That is the essence of emotional freedom. To truly let go, you must also understand that the past no longer exists except as memory. The only place life is happening is here and now. Every time you replay the past, you abandon the present moment, the only moment where healing and change can actually occur. Presence is the medicine for memory. When your awareness is anchored in the now, the mind loses interest in what has already happened. You begin to experience life as it unfolds rather than as your mind remembers it. The present is fresh, alive, and full of new possibilities that cannot be accessed if your energy is trapped in what was. Everything you need to chase, it arises naturally when your attention is fully alive in the moment. The past loses its grip not because it is erased, but because you have transcended it through awareness. Shifting awareness to the present means bringing your full attention to what is happening right now instead of being lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. Most people live in a constant state of distraction, carried away by memories, plans, or internal dialogues that keep them from experiencing the moment fully. The human mind has a tendency to drift, replaying old experiences or anticipating what is yet to come, and this constant movement robs you of peace. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists, yet many people spend very little time there. Learning to shift awareness to the now is about training the mind to rest in what is real instead of what is imagined. When you focus your awareness on the present, you start to notice life with a new clarity. You begin to see small details that were previously overlooked, the rhythm of your breath, the texture of what you touch, the sounds surrounding you, and even the subtle sensations within your body. These details bring you back to reality. The mind cannot be fully present and lost in memory at the same time. Presence acts like an anchor. It stops the drifting thoughts and keeps you grounded. This is why meditation and mindfulness practices emphasize attention to breathing or simple awareness of sensations. They train the mind to stay here where life is unfolding right now. The power of the present moment lies in its simplicity. When you are aware of what is happening now, your thoughts slow down and your emotions stabilize. You no longer get pulled into unnecessary mental stories. Most stress and anxiety come not from what is actually happening, but from thoughts about what might happen. By returning to presence, you cut off the endless chain of what ifs that fuel fear and worry. You respond to life as it is, not as your imagination paints it. This creates a calm, centered state that allows you to deal with situations more effectively. Being present does not mean ignoring the past or avoiding the future. It means engaging with them from a grounded state. You can still plan, dream, or reflect, but you do it consciously instead of being ruled by your thoughts. The difference is awareness. When awareness is awake, even simple actions like walking, eating, or listening become rich and fulfilling. You are no longer rushing through moments just to get to the next one. You start to appreciate the beauty in ordinary experiences. Presence transforms daily life from something routine into something meaningful. To cultivate this awareness, start with small practices. Throughout your day, pause and ask yourself what you are feeling or noticing right now. Take a deep breath and bring your attention to the present environment. Feel your feet on the ground or the air moving in and out of your lungs. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you will find that your awareness begins to stay present even when challenges arise. You will handle emotions more calmly and make decisions with greater clarity because you are no longer reacting from old patterns but responding from awareness. Learning from the past without living in it means using your experiences as tools for growth rather than as chains that hold you back. Every event that has happened in your life carries a lesson, whether it brought joy or pain. The purpose of reflecting on the past is not to dwell on it, but to extract the wisdom it offers and move forward with greater awareness. When you live in the past, you carry its emotions and judgments into the present, which distorts how you see life now. But when you learn from it consciously, you gain understanding without attachment. You begin to see your past not as a mistake or burden, but as a teacher that helped shape your evolution. Every experience you have gone through, success, failure, heartbreak, or disappointment, has contributed to who you are. The challenge arises when you confuse the lessons of the past with your identity. People often define themselves by what has happened to them. They say things like, I was betrayed, I was rejected, I failed. And these stories become a part of how they see themselves. This identification keeps the pain alive because it is no longer just an event, it becomes who you are. To learn from the past without living in it, you must separate your sense of self from your experiences. You are not what happened to you, you are the awareness that observed it, learned from it, and can choose differently now. Reflection is valuable only when it serves growth. Looking back can help you understand patterns, habits, or beliefs that no longer serve you. Perhaps you noticed that certain behaviors led to repeated mistakes or that specific attitudes prevented you from seeing opportunities. When you acknowledge these insights with honesty, you gain the power to change. But the moment reflection turns into rumination, when you start blaming yourself or others, you step back into the trap of the past. True learning happens when you observe without judgment. You see things clearly, take responsibility where needed, and release the rest. This mindset transforms pain into wisdom and regret into motivation. Living in the past often comes from resistance. People replay events because they wish things had turned out differently. They hold on to guilt, shame, or resentment, believing that revisiting the memory somehow gives them control. But the past cannot be rewritten, it can only be understood. Accepting this truth brings peace. Acceptance is not approval, it simply acknowledges that what happened, happened. Once you accept, the lesson reveals itself naturally. You stop trying to change the story and instead use it to create a better present. Acceptance turns the past into a stepping stone rather than an anchor. The ability to learn from the past also strengthens your presence. When you see life as a continuous flow of learning, you stop clinging to moments. Each experience becomes part of a larger journey instead of a destination. The energy that was once spent on regret or nostalgia is now used to grow, create, and connect. You become more compassionate toward yourself and others because you understand that everyone is learning through their own struggles. The past then becomes a bridge to wisdom, empathy, and resilience rather than a place of emotional imprisonment. Practicing mindfulness daily means training your awareness to stay connected to the present moment through simple, conscious attention to everything you do. It is not something reserved only for meditation sessions or peaceful settings. It is a way of living that can be applied to every action, thought, and emotion. Mindfulness is the art of observing life as it unfolds without judgment or distraction. When you practice it regularly, you begin to see how often your mind wanders away from what is happening now to what has already passed or what might happen later. This habit of drifting creates unnecessary stress, anxiety, and confusion. Daily mindfulness helps you break that cycle by grounding your attention in the present, allowing you to experience calmness, focus, and clarity in all aspects of life. The foundation of mindfulness is awareness. It starts with something as simple as observing your breath. The breath is always in the present, so paying attention to it instantly brings you back to now. Every inhale and exhale becomes a reminder that life is happening here, not in your thoughts or memories. As you build this habit, You begin to notice how often the mind reacts automatically. Judging situations, labeling experiences, or creating stories, mindfulness interrupts these reactions. Instead of being pulled by emotions, you start witnessing them. You become the observer of your mind, not its prisoner. This shift in awareness is powerful because it transforms how you respond to life. You begin to act with intention instead of reacting from habit. Practicing mindfulness daily does not require special conditions or a quiet environment. You can practice while walking, eating, working, or even talking. When you walk, feel the movement of your legs and the contact of your feet with the ground. When you eat, notice the texture, taste, and aroma of the food. When you talk, listen fully instead of thinking about what to say next. These simple acts of awareness deepen your connection to the moment. Life starts to feel richer and more vivid because your senses are fully awake. You no longer rush through experiences, you live them. Over time, mindfulness changes your relationship with stress. Instead of being overwhelmed by challenges, you observe them with clarity. You notice your thoughts and emotions rising and falling without letting them control your actions. This inner stillness creates space between stimulus and response, allowing wisdom to guide your choices rather than impulsive reactions. You begin to realize that peace does not come from having a perfect life, but from having a clear mind. When you are mindful, even difficult moments become opportunities for growth. You learn patience, resilience, and compassion through observation instead of resistance. Daily mindfulness also strengthens your connection with others. When you are fully present, you listen more deeply, understand more clearly, and respond more genuinely. People can feel your presence. It creates trust and openness. Relationships improve because mindfulness removes the noise of assumptions, distractions, and emotional reactivity. It teaches you to be with others as they are, not as you expect them to be. This awareness nurtures empathy and understanding, allowing you to connect from a place of sincerity. Reclaiming your energy and peace begins the moment you stop feeding your attention to thoughts and memories that no longer serve you. The mind has a constant need to revisit the past and anticipate the future, and every time you get caught in that cycle, you lose a part of your inner strength. Energy flows where attention goes, so when you spend hours reliving old pain or worrying about what might happen, you drain your emotional and mental power. This leaves you feeling tired, anxious, and disconnected. To reclaim your energy, you must learn to redirect your focus to what truly matters, the present moment. The present is the only space where you can act, heal, and create change. The more you bring your awareness back to now, the more power and clarity you regain. Peace is not something that appears when everything around you is perfect. It is a natural state that emerges when your energy is no longer divided between what was and what might be. When the mind is constantly occupied with the past or the future, it creates inner conflict. You might feel regret over what you cannot change or fear about what has yet to come. These emotional states consume your life force, leaving you restless. But when you stop giving attention to these repetitive thoughts, the noise begins to fade. The silence that follows is not emptiness, it is peace. This stillness is your natural state hidden beneath the layers of unnecessary thinking. Reclaiming it requires awareness, patience, and practice. Every thought that arises asks for your attention, but not every thought deserves it. Most of the mental chatter that occupies the mind is repetitive and unproductive. It replays events that have already ended or imagines situations that might never happen. You can begin reclaiming your energy by simply observing your thoughts without engaging with them. Notice them as they come and go like waves in the ocean. When you stop attaching meaning to every thought, they lose their power. This is not suppression, it is mastery. You are no longer controlled by your mind. You are aware of it. The more you cultivate this awareness, the less energy you waste on mental noise and the more peaceful your inner world becomes. Another way to reclaim your energy is through conscious living. This means being fully present in whatever you do instead of doing things mechanically. When you eat, taste the food. When you walk, feel your steps. When you talk, listen completely. Every act done with awareness renews your energy because your attention is unified. Scattered attention weakens you, focused awareness strengthens you. The mind often wanders because it is searching for fulfillment outside the present, but fulfillment can only be experienced here and now. By engaging completely with the moment, you begin to experience life as whole, not fragmented. This unity of attention naturally restores your energy and calm. Peace also deepens when you let go of emotional baggage. Holding on to anger, guilt, or resentment consumes tremendous energy. These emotions keep you bound to the past and block your ability to feel joy in the present. Forgiveness is a powerful tool in reclaiming peace. It is not about condoning what happened, but about freeing yourself from the emotional weight attached to it. When you forgive, you release resistance, and that release instantly restores your inner balance. Energy that was once trapped in pain becomes available for creativity, love, and growth. Reclaiming your energy and peace is a lifelong process, not a one-time act. It is about choosing again and again to stay present instead of lost in thought. Every time you bring your awareness back to now, you gather your energy. Every time you release an unnecessary worry, you strengthen your peace. Eventually, you reach a state where calm becomes your default. You no longer need external validation or circumstances to feel balanced. You realize that true peace does not depend on life being easy. It depends on your ability to remain centered no matter what happens. That is the ultimate freedom, living with a quiet mind and a full heart, completely alive in the present moment.